There is a high-speed rail project in California that aims to help remake a city, traverse a vast, empty desert, cross a river gorge on a 2,000-foot bridge, and connect California high-speed rail with Brightline West. Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stew again, and this is the High Desert Corridor. This route was born as a freeway corridor between the Interstate 15 and State Route 14 freeways, meant to replace dangerous high-speed roads like State Route 138 and State Route 18 between the two population centers of the California High Desert, the Antelope and Victor Valleys. Those are of equivalent size with a combined population of 1.1 million people. In 2009, Express West, the predecessor to what is now Brightline West, was aiming to build high-speed rail between Victorville, California and Las Vegas, Nevada. The High Desert Corridor would have been an ideal Express West second phase, extending that to Palmdale, California. As a result, plans for high-speed rail were added to the Freeway corridor. This is where things get complicated. As is apparent now, Express West's ambitions did not come to fruition, nor was the new freeway built. However, in 2018, Express West was acquired by Brightline West, giving the idea new life. Brightline West came up with an idea to run their high-speed rail line down the Cajon Pass and get it out of the desert and into the main populated area of Southern California. That plan terminates at Rancho Cucamonga, 40 miles east of downtown Los Angeles. Then COVID intervened and pushed everything back 5 years. This left the High Desert Corridor as something of a vestige, since it seems neither California High-Speed Rail nor Brightline West will get there anytime soon, but the HDC Joint Powers Authority is still pushing ahead with the project anyway. They are currently still in very early environmental phases, and it's not clear yet when construction would begin or how much it would cost. Plans for the project were vague for a long time, but recently the Joint Powers Authority put out a presentation which clarifies the concept. As a result, I went out and visited the area to get some footage. Let's see what happened. We'll start in Palmdale. I'm driving north on 6th Street, just west of Sierra Highway and Union Pacific tracks. The plan is to level everything you see here, and I'm not exaggerating. Where I'm driving in this clip will be California High-Speed Rail tracks, if that project ever reaches Palmdale. A disclaimer, renders I've created are based on real plans for these projects, but my interpretation and representation is not exact. Also, plans change. On either side of this view would be a large joint station for California High-Speed Rail, possibly Brightline West, and Metrolink. The station would extend for a mile and be surrounded by nearly 4,000 parking spaces. The city of Palmdale is building a redevelopment plan around the new station that could significantly transform this area over time. Earlier goals included a Y north of the station that would have allowed trains to travel freely between San Francisco and Las Vegas, but half of that has been dropped for now, leaving only the connection to the Palmdale station from the east. The current Palmdale Transportation Center lies at the northern end of what may eventually be the vast Palmdale High-Speed Rail Station site. Here we're looking north from the transportation center's rail platforms. A Metrolink train has just left the station. The crossing arms over Sierra Highway are rising. Traffic begins to flow. Out of a new Palmdale station, the High Desert Corridor will begin hooking to the east, where those cars are crossing the current Union Pacific tracks. Though the route quickly enters mostly empty desert, it has some extant homes to navigate around in Palmdale first. Here, a mile east of the Palmdale station, near the intersection of 15th Street and Avenue P8, the tracks would sweep in from the northwest, travel behind this building, and then head off toward Victorville beyond the horizon. The hills directly ahead are about a third of the way there. Coming out of the Palmdale area, the route parallels Avenue P8. This view is an unusual, inexplicable paved section of P8 between 40th and 50th Streets. The shoulder is littered with a bizarre mix of illegally dumped aggregate piles and trash, providing a bizarre juxtaposition to the idea that a modern high-speed train could someday be traveling 500 feet off to the right. Here above 70th Street looking east, the route leaves Palmdale for good while crossing the Little Creek Wash. This is one of a few streams that occasionally manage to reach Rosamond Dry Lake, which is part of Edwards Air Force Base. In the far distance off to the right, you can just make out the San Bernardino Mountains. Victorville lies between there and the hills in the midground. Those hills pose an obstacle to a straight line, so the route has to veer southwest at some point, and in doing so crosses over Palmdale Boulevard just east of 110th Street right around here. The route then parallels Palmdale Boulevard through Joshua trees and farms for the next 12 miles. Not far after crossing over, the route will cross Big Rock Creek, which stands in contrast from the surrounding landscape with its long stand of sycamore trees. This normally dry creek winds its way to Rogers Dry Lake Bed, which is where the space shuttle used to land on the west coast. The corridor will be a quarter mile to the right of the road in this area, including directly through this very large nursery here. Coming over a rise where Palmdale Boulevard goes around a small hill, the train would travel on the right side of that property directly ahead in the view. Here, Palmdale Boulevard ends at 240th Street. Beyond that, the HDC continues in a mostly straight path across the nearly unpopulated alluvial fan that feeds El Mirage Dry Lake Bed, which has appeared in countless movies, TV shows, and commercials. There's about a 50 square mile area out here that only has one paved road. It's that remote. The route then pulls into Adelanto and crosses over US 395 just beyond this view from the intersection of US 395 and Air Expressway looking south. Tracks would then briefly travel parallel to Air Expressway about 1,000 feet off to the right before crossing over the street to the left side. If you look closely at the fence for the warehouse on the left, you'll see there's a curved setback. That's the footprint of the HDC as it circumvents the federal prison seen on the right. You'll notice the next warehouse's fenced area is set further back from the road. Beyond that, the path plows through some derelict houses from when the Southern California Logistics Airport used to be George Air Force Base. Then as the road curves right, the HDC path will continue on straight, heading toward Interstate 15. To get there, it will need to cross the Mojave River Gorge on a 2,000-foot-long bridge. The HDC Joint Powers Authority renders have it as an enormous suspension bridge, so I've done my best to recreate that in motion with my own render. At that point, Brightline West trains and trains on the HDC would only be 1.5 miles apart. Here's what Brightline West would look like from the bridge. And vice versa. After crossing the Mojave River, the route would be 1/2 mile to the left of Stoddard Wells Road, which also runs parallel to Interstate 15 in this area. The HDC would then continue past the Victorville landfill pyramid on the left to hook up with Interstate 15, which is coming in from the right. What happens then isn't totally clear. In one graphic, they had the HDC joining Brightline West tracks in the I-15 median, just north of the northern Stoddard Wells exit. However, in this graphic, they have the southbound freeway flying over HDC tracks just south of the station site before meeting up with Brightline West at the Brightline West Victor Valley station. That station would have a dedicated HDC platform according to this graphic. They're also talking about a universal crossover as a Phase 3, but Brightline West is already planning to have the Victor Valley station in the middle of 10 miles of double tracking. So the HDC presentation the Joint Powers Authority put out is informative, but also raises some questions. Like, will HDC trains only run between Victor Valley and Palmdale? Or will some Brightline West trains stop in Victor Valley and continue on to Palmdale instead of Rancho Cucamonga? Also, does any of this happen if California High-Speed Rail hasn't made it to Palmdale? Because a new Palmdale station is according to the California High-Speed Rail environmental impact statement. Plus, that station won't be cheap. As mentioned, it's still early days, but it adds to the pile of exciting, nail-biting California high-speed rail projects that may or may not be completed anytime soon. However, Brightline West starting heavy construction in 2025 seems to indicate real progress in this area. To set up in-person coverage of that construction, I went out to Las Vegas recently and grabbed 4K dashcam footage, 4K drone footage, and I'm reworking renders in Unreal Engine 5 for a huge pre-construction update coming soon. Watch for that before 2025. And then after that, Brightline West construction updates, hopefully monthly from the start of construction all the way through to finish. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big beautiful freeway.